Welcome back to the Thrill of Driving podcast. And as promised, we've got the 2022 Formula One season preview. We've got the boss man, Adil Darukhanawala, in the studio with us, and he is an expert on Formula One. I'm a fan of Formula One, but I don't claim to be any expert. So we'll be throwing a ton of questions at Adil.
I'm also a fan who everyone thinks is an expert. So let's take it on like that.
Well, who's the 1958 Formula One world champion?
1958 is 1950. Mike Hawthorne.
See, so I have no clue. So that's what I call an
Mike
expert.
Hawthorne Ferrari.
1974?
1974 is Emerson Fittipaldi.
1968?
1968 is Graham Hill.
2021?
2021 has got to be Lewis Hamilton, and there's an asterisk behind Max Verstappen.
So in this podcast, we are going to talk about Michael Massey and what has happened to Michael Massey. We're going to talk about that at the very end, so stick around. We're going to talk about all the teams. Is this season going to see the resurgence of the Scuderia? Will we see something great from Alpine? Will McLaren come on strong? What is Mercedes going to do? We're going to talk about the side pod, which is not a side pod, which is a zero side pod, and all the teams' reactions to it. And we have listened to your thoughts on our past podcast, and we have got chapters, so you can look at the chapters and skip ahead to the parts that you enjoy. But do give us a shout out, do give us a thumbs up. If you like this, give us a thumbs up and share it with like-minded enthusiasts, and stay subscribed to the Evo India channel because we've got a lot more action coming at you. This is the season of launches. We've got new drives. In fact, we've just come from driving the Lexus, the new NX350H. Adil has done that review, so stay tuned for that review. It drops on the 21st, and of course, we've got tons more. So now, let's dive into the 2022 Formula One season preview. And Adil, let's talk about the new regulations first.
It couldn't have come earlier because we were devoid of action for such a long time. So when you have a barren winter, you don't want it to carry on and on.
So the summer has started. The heat has also started all across the country. The races are going to kick off. The new regulations. Now, the first thing that the regulations are aimed to provide is more action. Keep the fans at the edge of their seats. What do you think about that?
The key thing which they wanted to do with the new regulations was get the cars closer to each other and get them to pass or overtake each other. Well, I don't know how close they'll get because history has shown in Formula One that whenever there is a new set of regulations which comes in, it's always been the pecking order has always been the teams who have been always there at the cutting edge will always prevail. You will have a one-off team like Braun suddenly coming in out of the blue for that 1 year. As I see it, it's a clean sheet approach right now. The only things constant are the IC engines.
The powertrain.
No, not the entire powertrain, because you have got one aspect of it now taken away. So this is a sort of thing where Mercedes had a big advantage. So yes, so we will have, but I'm saying that Mercedes didn't waste 2021 for nothing. They were really plugging on with the 2022 Challenger. And even then, trying to run two programs, fight for the title in 2021 and along with that, prepare a car which, as everyone is surmising, seems to have everyone on the hop, the rest of the team. So right now, practice has shown that some guys are quicker. In fact, Kevin Magnussen, who returns to Haas, was quickest on that day. So you just can't say, okay, practice has never been a barometer for what will happen on race day. Many a times, cars come out very lightly fueled. Some guys, some
but it
teams
gives us a fair idea of where
for sure.
who's going to be.
So like I said, the top guys will remain the top guys. And
it's not like we're going to see Haas win the championship, right?
No. But if Haas starts getting back into the points, it'll be good for them.
Yes.
Considering that they have lost a big sponsor who came from Russia, Russia's persona non grata and so many things. Well, but speaking this aside, why do I watch Formula One is one big question many people ask me. And there's only one thing. It is the cutting edge of automotive perfection, efficiency. performance, everything.
In fact, they said these powertrains are the most efficient powertrains ever built.
Absolutely. From just that small size,
1.6 liter engine.
you are eking out 800 bhp, 900 bhp. It's phenomenal. So what I'm saying, what I'm looking at, why do I always look at Formula One, is because of the thought process of these brilliant engineers, aerodynamicists, the planners, etc. And sometimes you come out with solutions which no one could have thought out. What we are seeing for 2022, the new regulations, number one, we go back to 18-inch wheels, big wheels. The cars are longer, wider. The return of ground effects has come back. After they were banned in 1994 along with active suspension, ground effects come back. But given the way car design, Formula One car design over the last decade has gone, what ground effects does is they need to pin the car as close to the ground as possible. And whenever on a bumpy track like we saw at Barcelona right now in the test, that gap between the car and the tarmac where it really sucks it down to the road is broken, then the car starts porpoising. That's a hairy situation which not many teams, factored in. Now they are all going back, and let's not underestimate any of the teams. They are the most brilliant automotive technicians going in Formula One. So they will go. It's a degree to what degree the best can take it to is what will determine who wins or who comes second.
So some figures, you were talking about the downforce and the effect of following the cars in front. So I made note of it. So they said that in the earlier specification of the cars lost 35% of downforce within 3 car lengths, and 50% of downforce was lost when you were within 1 car length of the car in front, the car you were chasing.
The dirty air was there.
The dirty air problem. But now, with the new regulations, they hope to cut that down to 4%. So when you're within 3 car lengths, you will lose 4%. And 18%
Shirish,
within 1 car length.
This is great theory, FIA,
in reality.
No, the FIA historically has got brilliant minds working for themselves. And then the Formula One action group made up of all the teams and the team principals, the designers, they put their minds to it and make the rules. And then there is someone from 1 or 2 teams who gets over and above those rules within the framework of the letter of the rules as well as spirit of the rules. And they demolish that thing. So today, right now, we can only gather our thoughts and say what could be. I think the best thing is to do a Formula One opening Grand Prix review after Bahrain, and then you see what happens, what has happened there, and is that the right barometer to look at for this season rather than just these tests.
But what we can give our opinions on is the styling, and I think the cars look damn good.
I love them.
They look fast. The liveries on a lot of the cars, like I think Mercedes coming back to the Silver Arrow livery theme, looks really cool. Ferrari taking inspiration from their...
Ferrari is the best as I see it. And again, look at the sensuous sculpting on that bodywork of that car. But more than that, Formula One needed to change. You could not have a Formula Ford sort of a thing. Everyone looks alike and there's just different sponsors. You needed to have that variety over there. We are seeing that variety right now. But being Formula One, by mid-year, you'll find every team mimicking each other, and so they'll be back to square one.
So coming back to what you talk about, finding loopholes in the rules, or reading the rule books really properly.
Correct.
Right?
And interpreting it.
So Mercedes with the no side pod or the zero side pod design. Now a lot of the other teams are up in arms. Some teams have said that no, Mercedes are smart. Maybe we will follow them very soon. Where do you stand on that?
I think that what Mercedes has done, it is within the ambit of the rules. It's not something that first you go out, do an illegal car and make. That's not the case. Sour grapes comes in when someone else has not thought of the way how Mercedes has thought. Let's not take Mercedes into the picture. I think that Formula One always shoots itself in the foot when you see out of the 10 teams, only 2 teams pass the minimum weight rule. So they want to penalize those 2 teams so that the other 8 teams, I don't think that should be the case. Alfa Romeo and I think Sauber, Alfa Romeo Sauber, sorry, and I think maybe it was Haas or someone. They managed to get adhere to the minimum weight limit. So anything which is above the minimum weight limit is a penalty for the team. So the teams are already crying on the penalty. So they should not penalize the teams who have made that regulation.
And the minimum weight has actually gone up to
Yes.
795 kilos,
yes.
which is actually more than a Maruti Celerio.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So
No,
the cars are not.
Formula One is measured with the driver, the fuel and the liquids, and the whole car that way. So in that sort of sense, yes.
So maybe a little heavier or lighter than a Celerio with me in it.
Yes, correct, correct.
But the cars have become heavier.
And the Celerio is far too nimble in traffic, where the Formula One car is.
Better ground clearance. So the cars have not only become heavier, they become bigger. So
larger, wider.
You put a old car, the 2021
Yes.
car and the 2022 car, and you can see how much larger the cars have become.
True. But again, like I said, this is evolution. You have to make your cars as per the rules which have been configured. So in that sort of sense, there are lots of different philosophies at work right now. What Red Bull is doing vis-a-vis AlphaTauri, what McLaren is doing vis-a-vis Aston Martin, Williams is doing. So Williams, Aston Martin and Mercedes-Benz have got the same engine virtually, so to
Yes.
speak, but three different philosophies for their car as such. Same way across over there, you see the way Ferrari is doing its job and the way its other sister teams, Haas, is doing its job. So yes, so different philosophies. As I said, within the 5-6 GPs, you'll find the cars which are winning in the first 5-6 group. Everyone else will tend to find a solution closer to those.
So talking about which cars are going to be first, let's dive into the test results and see who's been where. Thank you. Adil.
Okay.
So we've got the times from the Bahrain tests,
The final times.
and of course Haas was given 1 hour extra, so
because
we will talk about that.
Yeah.
So do you want to start with the one that is making a lot of the noise, which is Ferrari? Now Mercedes, even the other teams, they talked about how I think George Russell said that now Ferrari is the one to watch out for. Do you think Ferrari is the one to watch out for?
What most of the team principals and the engineers there see across over there is, at what places on the circuit do the cars really excel? So the general opinion is that Ferrari has made a big leap forward in the way it is making the power from the engine. It's laying down the power, and I think that augurs very well for the sport. And you need to have Ferrari in the mix, whether it wins the championship or not. But if it's there in the mix, it's winning races, it's denying someone else the hegemony which we have seen over the last so many years. I think that's a good sign. Will Sainz and Leclerc be able to stitch together a combination which will work with each other and aim for the championship? Remains to be seen, because both have got tremendous ambitions, and it should be like that. So Ferrari is got to be, but you can never rule out Mercedes-Benz.
But before Mercedes, we have to talk about Red Bull, because Red Bull, Max Verstappen, he's second in the times. He's less than half a second off the time of the Ferrari. So Red Bull, they've also not been hanging around, even though they were really focused on winning the championship, which they did. They've not been hanging back with the development of their new car.
Well, car engine is one portion of the car. Aerodynamics, and Red Bull's strength is aerodynamics. And how Newey works his magic all across the four corners of the car. So in that sort of sense, Red Bull always will be there in the mix. There's no question about it. But having said that, I don't know how much of the Honda magic will transcend down in the horsepower department. There was so much flip-flop. They said Honda is going out, and then they again got back in. There was
There is a Honda logo on the car. Right?
yeah, there is.
So what is happening?
No, they came back. They said, no, we will come back. We'll stay in Formula One to help Red Bull.
But how are they going to help Red Bull? Because now it is Red Bull Technologies who is working on their
But
engine.
still, Honda said we will contribute
In what way?
with some technology. So they've understood that they lost out on a lot of PR by staying out. They said they don't want to lose out on
So
that.
some special wasabi sauce.
Yeah, could be. That could be. So in that sort of sense, so they are there. But if you care to see the biggest thing which I've seen amongst the teams which put in the laps, it's not just about setting a fast lap, but looking at the reliability. Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri did 102 laps compared to 52 and 64 for Sainz and Leclerc. I think that says quite a lot also. And I've always never tired of saying Pierre Gasly is a dark horse and has been. He is World Championship material. He is indeed World Championship material. And I think that it'll be stupid on any team's part to ignore him for 2023, especially the big top teams,
Of course, he's in the family. He's in
No,
the Red Bull family.
yeah, but he was in Red Bull and then he was demoted to AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
In fact, what I think AlphaTauri was great for Pierre Gasly because it came without too much of the Helmut Marko, eagle eye, pressure, etc. And he's thrived in that environment. I think the right thing would be for him to get back to. So the pressure, actually speaking, is on Chico Perez. How does he do this year? So yes, there are so many of these small battles within the teams and whatnot, is also what makes Formula One very interesting.
Yeah. Lance Stroll with the Aston Martin.
Yes, he is the. So the thing is that as you get more and more laps, so you get to grips not only to understand what the car is doing, but how well you are also acclimatizing to the car. So the more time you spend in behind the wheel in the cockpit, I think it always augurs well.
But we should talk about Aston Martin. They've got a new team principal. Lawrence Stroll has got massive ambitions for the team. They are building a new factory, new facilities. Is it a lot of bravado, or actually you're going to see something concrete?
I think Lawrence Stroll always had ambition, so it was not that he didn't have. And question is, Aston Martin, do they have the technical wherewithal to what you call, see, when the team was Force India, that same team just went across and became Racing Point. When the team was Force India, I remember that one Belgium Grand Prix when Fisichella was on pole with the Force India, Kimi Raikkonen was second on the grid, and at the start on the opening lap in the Belgian Grand Prix, Kimi made that one decisive move and he led the race from there on till the finish, and Fisichella was behind him. So I asked at that point in time Vijay Mallya and his Bob Fernley, his team boss, as to why don't you make. He says, see, that was a car which was a one-off, and it was great on that circuit. We need to build cars which are great on all the circuits. So that was they never what you call replicated that, but then they started becoming good on so many circuits. So they were always in the fray for the last podium spot. So it was very strong, and they that one year they came fifth at a fraction of the budget for the other teams. Which, so I think that was very creditable. I think Aston Martin needs to get back there, and I don't think that there are quick fixes in Formula One. Again, for them, a team like this, which has to grapple with changing, so many guys accused them of running an illegal car last year. So, well, nothing of that sort was what you call found out. But when you are confronted with such stuff and your reputation is such in that, and for you to climb up and above all those things takes a lot of character. But I think the Strolls really mean business. He's putting his money where his mouth is. He has a lot at stake. He's invested in Aston Martin, the car maker per se. I don't think there's a larger commitment than that.
Which team do you want to talk about next? Alpine?
Alpine is again another team which has to rise above the morass it has been in as Renault for the last so many years. Last year it lucked out in that one single Grand Prix where Esteban Ocon won and all that. It was a freak thing, but it was deserved. That Grand Prix win was deserved. there are two things here. I think 2022 could be the last year we see our guy Fernando Alonso having a fair crack. If the car is just average, he'll leave at the end of 2022. That's for sure. If the car has promise and does well, I think we'll see Fernando Alonso for one more year in 2023. So Alpine has to what you call come out. It has to break the shackles. It has to think radical. The rules allow teams to think radical this year. Will it do so is a question mark.
Do you think Alonso is amongst the top 3 drivers right now?
He is there amongst the top half of the field. That's for sure. No one can take his talent away. Question is he quick enough to do the business day in and day out? What Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen has shown in the last 1 year has been that they've taken the game to an unheard of level. Okay? Not everyone is capable of matching them day in and day out. And I think the best sort of thing is you got to look at both their teammates, Bottas for Hamilton and Perez for Verstappen. Look at where they were.
The gap.
The gap. So what I'm saying is you got to take the game there. Fernando Alonso on many an occasion in the past he could take the thing. Right now it's a sporadic one-off, two-off things which he has been doing that.
So clearly Hamilton and Verstappen are in a class of their own. But who are your top 5 drivers? So top 2 we already got. Who are the other 3?
I think that the 2 Ferrari drivers are very, very good. I still feel Lando Norris is a cracking driver.
Better than Ricciardo?
I think so. He's got that, what do you call, effervescence of youth. So he comes across unclouded in the mind. What happens to Ricciardo is that he has tasted success elsewhere, then he has taken steps back and he's not been able to convert that, like from Red Bull, he went to Renault and everyone told him it will not be but he wanted to prove to himself. It was a brave move from Bias. The Renault was not up to scratch. Then he did a good thing last year with McLaren. Again, he came in, Lando Norris should logically have one or two GPs for McLaren, but that's sport. I still feel, given the fact that Lando Norris is a team player, proper team player, I love that guy. He's a character as well. Formula One needs characters. The Bernie Eccleston era, sanitize that. You cannot say this against that guy. You cannot do this against this guy. That's the
You cannot change helmet liveries race to race.
Absolutely. And he said that Putin is a great guy. So, okay, let's not get politics here. But the thing is that you need to have characters in the sport. The sport is viewed as much for the technical prowess, the speeds, the performance. You also see so many times people come to see guys clash against each other physically as well. But you need characters. And I think Lando Norris does great as a character. Sebastian Vettel is good, but I think he's like the Alonso syndrome. He's in that category as I see it.
But somehow, over the past year, 2 years, I was not a big fan of him when he was at Red Bull, and especially after he left Red Bull, and when he was not winning, he was a little, he was constantly poking fingers at other people's fault. But now he's come across as this great statesman for the sport.
I think he's realized his calling in life. And I think that's a wonderful thing to he suddenly evolved into that character which I'm speaking about. Great character to have. And honestly speaking, there are lots of redeeming qualities about him when he goes about gathering the waste from the grandstands. A lot of what do you call.
And he's not doing it for social media.
No, exactly. So when I say it endears him as a good human being, and I think Formula One can do with good human. Sorry, Max Verstappen, but this is where I feel that you require these sort of guys as well.
What about
Russell?
I was just going to ask you that.
So when you talk about George Russell, the big question is, will he take the fight to Lewis Hamilton?
Will he be allowed to take the fight to Hamilton?
Yes, he'll be allowed to take the fight. That is one thing which we have seen the Mercedes team. You have to tip your hat off to Mercedes. They did it right from day one. Michael Schumacher and Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton and Bottas. They were allowed to do that. Okay. When will team orders come into play? When the championship is on a knife edge and whosoever is in front, then obviously. But there are very few times I've seen Toto Wolff or any of the Mercedes AMG team management ever put in team orders. So I think, but Russell will improve under Lewis's tutelage. That's how I see it.
I also want to, okay, so the drivers are one thing. Team principles, they are an important part of the entire circus, right? Who are the top 2 or the top 5 team principles in your opinion? Or between Christian Horner and Toto Wolff, who would you rate higher?
I think I'll place both of them on the same plank, but with Toto Wolff nose ahead of Christian Horner. Christian Horner has done himself a big disservice by trying to justify so many things which are not on. If you care to look at this entire ruckus from Abu Dhabi to this day, Lewis has not said anything. Max Verstappen has been silenced by his own success because he knows that...
There's nothing to complain about.
No, not just that. He cannot even, enjoy his success in that sort of manner and go on. So the guys who have been cranking up the tempo for him has been Christian Horner. So, okay, and that's his job, Christian Horner's job to do that. I feel it is not about Christian Horner or whatever. Here it was a simple thing that Abu Dhabi was a race badly handled by the FIA. And the FIA has his nose in the ground with a new president. It's totally wrong that they went after taking away the Russian Grand Prix within days of the Ukraine conflict. But they have yet not been able to give a report on the Abu Dhabi proceedings. And I think that's not on. As a world's sporting body, the administrating body for the sport, they have to be upfront, above board, and absolutely communicative, which they have not been.
So we'll end this podcast with Michael Massey. We'll move back to the teams. Now, we spoke about Ferrari, Red Bull, Aston Martin, Alpine, Ferrari. Ferrari again. Mercedes.
Mercedes has got something really big up their sleeve. And I feel far more than anything else, the way the championship ended last year, I think that, and I've seen it through the ages, whenever Mercedes has lost, the year after they lose, the way they come back, history from the 1914s, 1930s, 1950s, you see that has been the trend. I just feel that thing could happen,
Which is not a great thing for us, no, as fans, to then watch the silver arrows right at the front all day long. You want action, right? You want somebody...
Yeah, absolutely. No, what I'm saying is, I don't want them to run away. But I don't think that the others will be... They have a bee in their bonnet to, go out and crush the thing and wipe out the memories of 2021. So in that vein, I feel... And Mercedes-Benz has taken a really bold approach to the new regulations. If you look at the cars, what they have done with the aerodynamics, mixed the side pods, they have clothed the entire cooling system so tightly to the monocoque, and they have given enough and more scallops along the way to aid the airflow, especially the underfloor ground effects tunnels, If they do the business correctly, then, see, as I see it, there are two great thoughts in Formula One. One is the Adrian Newey way and one is the other way. And the other way over the last 8-10 years has all been Mercedes-Benz. So that is where, and that is how Formula One is poised. I hope Ferrari with its great looking car, Aston Martin with its delectable British racing green turn. I think we need to see some cars like that, and they have to be performing at the sharp end of the field.
Yeah. Now, when you're talking about ground effects, it's not like the cars are like those cars in the 70s where they were talking about the drivers would have to wear those G-force suits because they were generating so many Gs. These cars, they don't have those active skirts, so it's not like the entire underbody is seen.
Yeah, but still, the thing is that the floor, there are tunnels, sculpted on the underfloor. So where the seats, driver seats, along with that, there's a airflow. There's a certain gap which has to be remaining constant with the floor and the tarmac. It's when you hit the bumps, that's when that gap increases or decreases. And that's what really causes the imbalance.
So you spoke about porpoising. Now, what happens to the driver when that happens?
It's very simple. I'm not a great expert on aerodynamics, but what I read about it is, it's like when you are flying in an aircraft and there's tremendous turbulence and you are buffeted, and when there is really bad turbulence, it can make you puke and throw out. And none of the aircraft passengers are as physically fit as a Formula One driver. And for them to really lose it with all their strength and all that, so you can understand how bad the situation is. So really awful turbulence with solid physical battering which happens. So they have to override that. That is what is happening right now.
Yeah, so that will be a factor of both aero as well as suspension development?
Suspension is given that it's more than that is aero.
So the whole thing with ground effects is that the entire idea is to use more of the underbody for the aerodynamics and less of the top of the body. So reduce the turbulence and to reduce...
What they said, what the airflow under the car goes across. So what happens because of that, it pins the rear of the car down to the tarmac so that the traction, you don't lose any horsepower by wheel spin. So there's traction. But when there's lift which is caused by that gap not being constant, the rear of the car doesn't get that traction, it rises up a little bit. And that's what the teams want to avoid.
Yeah. So that's, so we spoke about Mercedes, McLaren.
McLaren, I feel, I mean, seeing the time, very consistent, very good.
The second times.
So it's very good. So in the sense, and both Lando Norris and Ricciardo have been setting good, strong times across over there. It'll be really good to see the orange cars really up there, And they were there for a few races last year. And it was wonderful to see them there.
They are a team that has a lot of goodwill behind them, right?
Now, it's after the Ron Dennis era and whatnot. Yeah, so the key thing is, because you need, again, Ricciardo smiles and smiles and smiles. Lando Norris smiles and smiles.
Zach Brown smiles.
I don't see the others smiling here. That's why there's sometimes, it's a serious business, no doubt. But don't be so serious that you can't present a pleasant face to the world. This is a team which is wonderful here in that.
So how would you rate Zach Brown compared to Toto Wolff and Christian Horner?
Well, the thing is that the other two have tasted a lot of success. This guy is on the verge of success. So, but at the end of the day, what he's trying to do to revive the strengths of McLaren across the board, in IndyCar as well, in so many other spheres, I think it's a good revival for the brand, It's a good revival for the brand.
Let's talk about Haas. Now, Haas has really, they've got it in the neck, right?
Sure.
They've had to let go of their driver, their main sponsor. They got Kevin Magnussen back. And surprisingly, Kevin Magnussen topped the time sheets. Okay, whether he was going for a qualifying time, light fuel load, everything, but he still topped the time sheets.
What does it say, It says, please don't take renter drivers. Kevin Magnussen is a skilled exponent of the art of the single-seater racing at the highest level. And you junked him for a renter driver like this guy who came in,
Mazepin.
So I think that, and Haas was a team which was consistently in the points.
Yes.
And they frittered
But that's because it was half a Ferrari, right?
Yeah, so whatever be it, so it was there. So they lost. I feel that if today's financial situation is really awful across the board globally, so to attract new sponsors, you need to have a compelling product. The compelling product in case of Haas was not there. So then you had the thing that you had to have Mick Schumacher doesn't bring anything by way of money to the team. He brings the Schumacher name to the team. He is competent, but he's still not there at all. Mazepin has not been in Schumacher's class at all, but he brings money from Russia. So, and he has been more often than not, always in the wars with A, B, or C driver. So he didn't discriminate there. So in that sort of sense, Haas need to get back to doing the business with competent drivers. And it's a lesson to so many others as well. So many other teams as well.
Now this will be the
Again,
first time.
again, I say Alpha Tauri. They've got this Chinese guy, Zhang Zhou.
Yeah.
He was fast in F2. Definitely faster than our Jehan Daruwala on many occasions. Consistently fast as well. Let's see how he does. You never know. He could upset, but he cannot. Pierre Gasly is terrific. Pierre Gasly really is terrific. So this guy has his work cut out. You got to see also.
Do you want to take a break and talk about Jehan Daruwala since you touched upon it? This is going to be his second year in F2 or third year in F2? Third year in F2. This is his make or break year, right? And I think he's been honest enough to admit it that this is the year that he has to perform.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's something else.
I saw his races last year as well and the year before as well. I found at critical junctures, whether it's the Indian makeup, his mental makeup is more psychologically oriented, he was not decisive enough to close the door or make that go for that gap. I saw it in lots of races. So again, one more thing, I don't tire of saying this always. Formula One is a white man's sport. Sorry, I'm not a racist, but what has happened is I've seen that with Naren Karthikeyan also. He was great when he went to Jaguar. He did great times. He was great when he went to Stewart, but he got the wrong end of the stick. He never got the decent machinery. So unless and until this year, the good thing for Jehan Daruwala is he is not with Carlin, again a British company. And mind you, even Naren was with Carlin some years ago.
Yeah. In fact, Naren's success made Carlin.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm saying is, when you look at Jehan has gone to probably the finest team in F2 right now, which is Prema. And if Prema can do the trick for him, he will be a hard nut to beat. This is truly Jehan's best chance ever. If he doesn't crack it, he should be man enough to say, okay, I'll try to excel, say in
endurance racing,
or go to IndyCar. Or what we require, look at Arjun Maini. What I'm saying, he realized that he cannot cut it in Formula 3, he cannot cut it in Formula 2. But he has now started becoming a fixture in DTM. And DTM is a very competitive and a very popular series worldwide. So an Indian doing well, Formula 1 is not the end all and be all of motorsport. He should go. And I think that is where the future begins for a lot of our Indian guys.
Yeah, so on behalf of all of us at Evo India, all the best, Jehan, and
absolutely,
we are rooting for you. 210%.
I must tell you one more thing. Whenever Jehan Daruwala wins, I get a lot of congratulations because my son is also Jehan. It's a different thing that he's Daruwala and my son Jehan is Darukhanawala.
But both are Jehandis.
Both are Jehandis.
So that's on Jehan. Alpha Tauri, junior team to Red Bull, two strong drivers. We've spoken about them. We've spoken about Haas. Williams is also a team in transition. Williams is looking at delivering a consistent point scoring finishes because the word is out that Williams could be the anointed team for one of the Volkswagen Group companies to come into Formula 1 in 2026. Not Red Bull?
If you care to see the thing, the Volkswagen Group is splitting away from Porsche. They are going to become two separate entities again, financial entities. So Porsche will be.
So are you saying Porsche will be Williams and then we'll have Audi?
Yes,
with,
yes.
Arre bapre.
So it's good. It's great.
Same Luma thing, right?
It's great. I think what Formula 1 needs is more manufacturers. Like Ferrari has got Haas as one team, so 4 cars are with Ferrari engines. Honda has 4 cars. Alfa Romeo, Alfa Tauri, and Red Bull. Ferrari has 3 teams: Alfa Romeo, Haas, and Ferrari.
Yes.
Mercedes has 3 teams again. Renault has just 1. I feel one other team needs to come in, and Mario Andretti's son, Michael Andretti, has already put in an application, and I don't understand what is Liberty trying to do. They being an American company in charge of Formula One, they need another American company to, and Michael Andretti has got far greater credentials in the sport than Haas. Not to say Haas doesn't have, but Michael comes with the Andretti name.
Yeah. And I remember when he won the championship, 1978, the year I was born, right?
Wonderful.
With Lotus.
Wonderful.
That's the only thing I remember.
But Mario was a great, the driver's driver, one of my favorites. So Michael Andretti has, and he has, I believe the deal has already been struck for the Andretti team to use Renault engines for next year.
Okay.
So let's see that. So it's always good to see 22 cars rather than just see 20 cars on the grid.
Yeah. But Adil, talking about Liberty, now the Miami Grand Prix, new fixture on the calendar for 2022,
Yeah.
sold out. It's absolutely sold out.
It doesn't say something?
Liberty has really made Formula One big.
No, but what I'm saying, America is an untapped market for Formula One. You went to the wrong places in the USA. Bernie went to the places where he could make a quick buck. You had a Grand Prix in the parking lot of the Las Vegas casino circuit.
Yeah.
That's not Grand Prix need to go here. It's a contrived thing. That's where Formula One lost it all,
Talk about 23 race weekends anyway.
So when we are talking about, we are really fortunate to have 23 race weekends. So add another 23 weeks in between them. So 46 weeks. We are living on great excitement fortnight to fortnight.
Must be hell on the drivers, the teams.
Of course, yes. Of course, yes.
But who cares? No, we're getting our excitement.
Of course, yes. No, plus also across over there, think about it from the perspective across why Formula One is the most watched sport. One worthy told me the other day, after the Olympics and the World Cup football, cricket is the most. I think that guy got completely bonkers or got carried away, maybe. So, in that sort of sense, you got to see that we are having our performance fix every fortnight, and then you throw in MotoGP in between. So this year is sorted out from March till December. It's terrific.
Weekends are packed.
So what happens is we are really at our wits' end December, January, February.
So on that note, we should request all the manufacturers watching this that please no drives on weekends.
Yeah, absolutely. Today
Kindly,
also. Yeah, absolutely.
Or if you're doing a drive, please make sure that there's a proper setup for watching Formula One and not put us on a SpiceJet flight when the races are going on. So please, kindly mind it.
Yes.
Kindly manage. So we've spoken about all the teams. The one team that we haven't spoken about is Alfa Romeo.
It is the de facto Ferrari team, but Sauber has put in a lot of effort. It is, and this year the Alfa Romeo car looks smashing. It looks delightfully great. And if races were won just on appearances, I think Ferrari and Alfa Romeo would have won the championship this year.
Italians doing what they do best.
Yeah, but I would really love to see Alfa Romeo be there, and Bottas, for whatever he is there, he's a good development driver. So in that sort of sense, yes, and he's a good guy.
And this time he'll be able to whoop the ass of his teammate. Wipe the floor clean.
Yes, correct. So no, but there's one more name which we have not spoken about. It comes in place of Mazepin, and that's Pietro Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi is again from racing's legendary names. Emerson Fittipaldi, twice world champion, twice Indy 500 winner.
Which years did he win the championship?
74 and 76.
Which cars?
Once with Lotus, and 72 and 74, sorry. 72 with Lotus and 74 with McLaren. The first McLaren world champion was Emerson Fittipaldi. So he did that. He won twice at Indy, and I was there at Indy the year he won it. So
how do you remember all this, Adil? You have Chawanprash every day?
Coke. Need Coke on the rocks.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, not the Colombian type. So in that sort of sense, when you look at it, Emerson's brother's son, Christian Fittipaldi, also was there, and now we have got his grandson, Pietro Fittipaldi. It's great, like how, but always, unfortunately, even Mick Schumacher suffers from the aura of a very successful father. So
The shoes to fill in.
yeah, big shoes to fill in. So let's see this young man do well in the.
But who's going to get the seat finally?
He's with us. I think the deal is done.
Okay. So
The
it's not
deal is-
Kevin Magnussen.
This guy has come in the times when Kevin Magnussen might be going for his world endurance championship things. But there's still some things. But it's good that he is a test driver come replacement
Yes.
thing whenever
Yes.
is needed, So it's good to have some great names from the past come back again in a newer, younger avatar.
Yeah. And finally, let's go through the calendar.
Yes.
If you were to go and travel, don't know if travel completely opened up, which race would you want to go and watch?
I'd like to go to Belgium for sure.
You've been to Belgium?
I've been to Belgium. I'm
Who won when you went, and when did you go?
I went first in the year 1998, and Michael Schumacher was winning when he had that coming together with David Coulthard in the race.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the two Jordans won the race, Damon Hill and Ralph Schumacher. So I went there that year. Then I went back in 2000 when again Michael Schumacher. He was on the second row of the grid. The two Williams of his brother and Montoya were in the front row of the grid, but he beat them both at the start and he went out and won the race. And then one other race I want to go to is Monza. There's tremendous history
The
at
Temple
Monza.
of Speed.
The people are fanatics there. They're fanatics for the sport. So these two, yes, need to. Japan, Suzuka. You can't go everywhere here. I would love to go everywhere, but you got to be what you call have your feet both on the ground.
So that's it for our Formula One 2022.
Let's not forget Masi. We forgotten the messy stuff which Masi did. Okay.
So now Masi has been moved out. FIS said that they will find another role for him. What do you think? Is that the right thing to have done to Masi? Does he deserve it?
Right now, I still feel that we should not talk about Masi till the report is out. Right now, these are all flanking moves to not get to the crux of the matter.
Will we see the actual report?
The honest answer which I can think about right now is a big no in capitals, bold, inverted commas, underlined, everything. There's big money lined up there. And anyway, the championship was tainted from so many places. Mohammed bin Sulayem, for his thing that he was elected the president on the basis of a new era of openness. He has not been open at all, or he has not been allowed to be open at all, given the way.
And maybe it's early days also.
It's very early days. So maybe let's not say anything on the Masi affair till the report comes out. And it's such a travesty of justice. And it just highlights how Formula One is administered. That the thing which they should have done immediately within about a week or a fortnight, they're doing it on the eve of the very opening Grand Prix of this year. I think it's a crying shame.
And you don't need months.
No, not just that. It's a crying shame because you are giving rise to more controversy to unravel. And I think that sport doesn't need that.
Yep. So on that.
One more.
No, we'll still wait for the bombshell.
No, there's no bombshell here. Drive to Survive is going to be in its second year. I'm not much of.
We've been driving the Lexus, so we haven't watched it also.
Yeah. No, but still, Drive to Survive is a series which romances the sport, makes it spicy in many manner. And for the purist, it could be a bit of a, take it into a very light, humorous manner. But it has opened the sport to a whole new segment of the global populace.
Who would have known of pure gasoline?
Yeah, so what I'm saying, in that sense, that's been a masterstroke. So if anyone is coming new to Formula One because of Netflix, yes. I don't want Formula One to become Netflix.
Yeah, I was waiting for the but.
That is the key thing.
But let's see. I think last year was brilliant.
It was great.
The outcome, maybe not, but the season was brilliant.
Absolutely.
And it bodes really well for the future.
Absolutely.
And beautiful cars.
Like I said, one thing, we saw history in the making here. How many times do you see that thing?
Yes.
So I think you need to,
And that's
appreciate
that one year where I definitely will remember who won the championship. Maybe not the other years, but
Yes.
so Adil, to close, let's say, when was the first Formula One World Championship? Which year?
1950 Silverstone British GP 9.
And who was the champion? Fangio?
No, Dr. Farina, Giuseppe Farina.
Yeah. So that was the first world
Okay,
champion.
enough of questioning me, guys.
Thank you, Adil. Thank you for being on the Thrill of
Yeah,
Driving podcast,
wonderful.
and brilliant talking to you about Formula One and on motorsport. Check out the opening race of the season. 1 week to go. It's
And
going
we'll
to
be back after that.
And
Try to see whether we have to eat back our words, whatever we said spoken right now.
whether we're going to eat a hat. We don't wear hats.
Yeah.
So, so if you've enjoyed this podcast, give us a shout out. Hit the like on this video. We've also got it on all podcast platforms, so you can listen to it on your way to work. And like Adil said in the earlier podcast, hopefully you are going to work. You are not sitting and doing pure work from home.
True.
Hopefully it is hybrid for you, like it is hybrid for us. Rarely are we in the office, and that's why we've not been doing our podcast that often. But thank you guys for watching. And if you have any comments, do drop it in the comments below. We have incorporated your comments, so we've got a lot of videos that are playing within this thing. So we've got a lot of footage, we've got chapters, so we are listening to you, and obviously we will keep listening to you. So thank you for watching, thank you for viewing, and enjoy the season. It promises to be an epic season of Formula One racing.
If the races at the MotoGP in Qatar was something to go by, I hope Formula One, if it gives even half the thrills what MotoGP gave, we'll be off to a great season.
Adil, also going by the Monte Carlo World Rally Championship, Sebastian Loeb won that.
Absolutely.
So it's great stuff all the way
I
around.
hope we are on the cusp of a great season in all forms of the
Even rallying started, Indian rallying started. Okay, we are in 2022, but the 2021 rallying
Since
season has started.
I think the FMSCI needs a crash course of Messi, Masi or whatever is there to understand, guys, we are living in 2022, not in 2021.
But anyway, all the best to the participants in the Indian National Rally Championship. The first round is done. The second round is happening in Bangalore, the K1000, as we speak. And the third round will be in Chennai. So all the best to the teams, to the participants, to our own colleague, Anirudh,
Yes.
who is co-driving with Eunice in the Race Concepts car. So all the best, guys. Do well. Break a leg. In all the good ways. Don't take me
absolutely.
wrong. These guys tend to be very touchy. And yeah.
That means don't touch anyone with your cars. Okay.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll cut it here. Thank you.